The following program contains shockingly brilliant insights. If you suffer from a lack of dark sunglasses, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your optometrist.
Standing for truth in the four corners of America. Fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars. And turning resistance into an art form. The man who creates social tension just by walking into the room, Randall Terry.
Hello, my friends. It is I, your servant, Randall. Oh, my goodness. An internet compliment? I don't know what to do. I can't bring myself to crumble it. I need to save it. In today's program, this historic figure is going to talk about Planned Parenthood and what's at stake with the debate over the continuing resolution that's coming up. And we're going to take a second look at the Supreme Court decision on the Westboro Baptist Church. And I hope you've got your ear to the ground on this one. Today's program brought to you in part by Planned Parenthood, a criminal syndicate involved in a criminal conspiracy covering up sexual crimes against children, and by Attorney General Eric Holder, who refuses to prosecute Planned Parenthood for their crimes against children. I'll be right back after a quick word from my good friend, Joey the Hammer.
As you can imagine, there are many people in an institution such as this who are here for a variety of crimes, some of which, I might add, such as myself, were never committed. They got the wrong guy in my case. Be that as it may, there are a group of people who come here who have committed crimes against children. These are disgusting human beings, and when they come here, the authorities put them in what is called protective custody. And the reason they do this is because there are certain individuals in this institution that if they get their hands on these scum, well, let's just say it like this, an unfortunate accident is bound to occur. On the outside, well, you've got groups like Planned Parenthood. This is a criminal syndicate, and they are perpetuating these crimes against little boys and against little girls. And I just often wonder, what would happen if some of those people came here? There's a group of men, I assure you, who would love to greet them.
Oh, we're back. I just don't know what to do with this. You know, let me say something before I talk to you about the big news. Every single insult that we put on that door every day is real. It comes off the internet. Once in a while, like this, somebody said something nice about me. The truth of the matter is this. If you are going to affect the course of people's lives, whether it's an immediate circle of friends or your community, if you're going to stand up and stand out in your city or in your state or even in this nation, in your quest for justice, in a prophetic witness for the truth, you're going to be hated. And you need to get used to it. You need to actually learn to embrace it. Jesus said, "Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for so they treated the false prophets." He also said, "Blessed are you when men hate you and persecute you, when they cast your name out as evil, when they separate you from their company, when they say all manner of evil against you falsely." He said, "In that day, rejoice, leap for joy." That's the way they treated the prophets before you. He said, "Great is your reward in heaven." So we have to embrace this truth spoken from the lips of our Savior, that if you stand up for what is right, you will in fact be despised by a certain group of people. And their hatred of you is going to be public. At times it's going to be vicious. And at times it's simply going to be false. And if you do the right thing, you're going to be blessed in this life and in the next. All right, let's talk about Planned Parenthood. The upcoming fight over the funding of Planned Parenthood in the 6-month continuing resolution could prove to be the Waterloo of the pro-life movement. Waterloo? That's bad, isn't it? Yes, it is bad. Now, conversely, it could be the Gettysburg of the child-killing movement. Gettysburg, you keep using military analogies. I'm confused. All right, let me explain it. If we prevail in this fight to defund Planned Parenthood, it could reinvigorate the pro-life base and set the wheels in motion to actually make it criminal to kill a baby from conception until birth. Now, conversely, if we fail in this moment with this Republican leadership led by John Boehner, then it could be the Waterloo of the pro-life movement, where we basically, politically, have our back broken, or at least we are seriously injured, and it's going to take us time to regroup. Now, what I want to do is I want to slowly explain to you the way things actually work here in D.C., and hopefully you'll come away from this show understanding how critical this vote over Planned Parenthood is for both sides, because there can only be one winner. Now, let me start by offering to my fellow pro-life leaders, pro-life advocates, and people who blog and write, let me offer to you a rhetorical suggestion, and please, you don't have to give me credit, okay? Just take it, steal it, run with it, make it your own. And it is this. I recommend that from henceforth, we refer to Planned Parenthood as a criminal syndicate, or perhaps a criminal enterprise that is involved with a criminal conspiracy. Now, I use these words with surgical precision. And if we will focus on that element of Planned Parenthood, it could be the thing that causes them to lose their funding. Now, before I go any further, let me point something out. Planned Parenthood is the largest killer of unborn babies in the Western Hemisphere. Their own statistics show that in the last 2 years, for example, they killed over 330,000 babies per year. Those babies' remains being strewn in landfills, ending up in sewers, some of their body parts being sold in some ghoulish Frankenstein-like trade. It's an unthinkable crime against humanity. And that alone should require that no federal money, no state money, no local tax money is given to the largest consortium of baby killers in the Western Hemisphere. All right? But that said, unfortunately, there are many people in the pro-life movement and outside of it, in politics and amongst us, we've actually grown calloused to the killing of the unborn. And because of that, sometimes a different crime, even a crime that's less horrifying, less vile in the eyes of God, a different crime can and should be focused on. Namely, I'm talking about the sexual crimes that are being committed against minors and then being covered up by Planned Parenthood. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will focus on a legal phrase in which I intend to prove that Planned Parenthood is actually involved in a criminal conspiracy, that they actually are a criminal syndicate. And that phrase is accessory after the fact. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
I've just had my first cold in 5 years. And Randall made the mistake of asking me how I felt. I said, with my fingers, of course.
Moments with Moses. They shall pursue you until you perish. and the heavens over your head shall be brass, and the earth under you shall be iron.
Welcome back to the program, friend. I'm going to talk about some things that are a little bit touchy. If you've got small children in the room and you don't want them to hear this, this would be the time to get them to scoot out. I'm not going to say anything very explicit, but this is very intense information. All right. In the last segment, we talked about whether or not Planned Parenthood is, in fact, a criminal syndicate. And, of course, I make the charge that they are involved in a criminal conspiracy to cover up crimes, sexual crimes, against children. Every state in the Union has laws against pedophilia, laws regarding statutory rape, and the law is different from state to state, whether or not we're seeing a misdemeanor or a felony. And they also revolve around the age of the minor and the age of the perpetrator. So we don't have time in this program to do a 50-state analysis, but the point is this. United States law in every state of the Union acknowledges that minors must be protected from sexual acts, okay? That's why we have laws regarding statutory rape. Whenever a minor walks into a Planned Parenthood, 13, 14, 15 years old, in some states even 16 or 17, when she walks in to a Planned Parenthood and she is pregnant, she is at that moment a living, breathing crime scene. Her pregnancy is prima facie evidence that a sexual crime has been committed against her. Now, at that moment, Planned Parenthood, as a health provider, and please God forgive me for even saying that they're health providers, even in quotes, but Planned Parenthood is required at that point to contact the authorities and to tell them that there is evidence of a sexual crime that has been committed against a minor. When they don't contact the authorities, at that moment, they have committed a crime called accessory after the fact. Now, let me make an illustration for you so you understand. If you or if I had a family member or a friend who committed a robbery or a rape or a murder, and we had no foreknowledge of it, we didn't agree that it should happen, it just happened without our knowledge or consent. But then after the fact, we found out about it and we helped cover up their crime. At that moment, we would be guilty of accessory after the fact. We would be participating in a criminal offense by helping to cover up a crime. So, when a minor girl goes into a Planned Parenthood and she's pregnant or she's sexually active and they're giving her birth control and they're killing her baby, at that point, as the record shows, they are covering up a sexual crime against a minor. Now, this has been going on for years. This is not something odd or new. Thanks to the undercover work of Mark Crutcher, of Lila Rose recently, and others who have shown that Planned Parenthood is deliberately breaking the law in this regard. The record shows clearly that Planned Parenthood commits this crime hundreds of thousands of times every year. Every year. And so my recommendation is that we focus on this aspect of Planned Parenthood's behavior in the upcoming fight over the continuing resolution. We clearly need to focus on the fact that they are the nation's largest killer of unborn babies. But as I said earlier, there's a certain callousness that has happened with all of us. We've lived alongside this evil for so long, it doesn't jar us the way it should. But there's a lot of people that are still jarred by 13 and 14 and 15-year-old girls who are pregnant from a 22-year-old man or a 25-year-old man, or young girls who are involved in child prostitution and get pregnant and are brought to a Planned Parenthood by their pimp. And then Planned Parenthood does not call the authorities on the pimp or try and rescue the girl. They simply kill her child and give her birth control. I'm going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to explain to you how this exact moment in time, this exact vote in the continuing resolution to fund or to not fund Planned Parenthood is either going to be a Waterloo for the pro-lifers or a Gettysburg for the baby killers. You're not going to want to miss what I have to say. Don't go.
Don't beat me no more, Mr. President. Don't beat my body no more, Mr. President. I'll obey you.
Don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once. Then come back and hit it a second time. A tremendous whack. Sir Winston Churchill. Welcome back to the program, friend. The upcoming vote in the continuing resolution regarding funding Planned Parenthood is either going to be a cataclysmic victory or failure for the pro-life movement on one side and the child killers on the other. If we, with a pro-life Republican majority in the House of Representatives, do not have the political firepower to keep those Republicans loyal to their promises, if they will betray the children and betray the pro-life movement and betray their pro-life constituents that voted them into office, if they will betray the sacred trust to defend life and to defund Planned Parenthood, and they do not fear any political repercussions from us, then what that means is we are a paper tiger. We are to be ignored. If right now we fail, then there will be no fear in the hearts of politicians when they decide that for their own political reasons, they're going to betray us, betray the lives of the innocent, and I would say, to betray God himself. There's an old saying, politicians see the light when they feel the heat. If they do not feel any heat from us at this exact moment in time, then it means that our political strength is basically over. There was a day when Jerry Falwell was on the horizon. Great luminaries like D. James Kennedy. Pat Robertson was much more active with the Christian Coalition. When you had the moral majority and the Concerned Women for America and the Eagle Forum, and people feared the religious right. They feared crossing us. Well, slowly but surely, people are waking up to the fact that we won't hold them accountable. Now, let me make this point about the child killers. If they lose this fight, and Planned Parenthood is in fact defunded, then it shows, number one, that the pro-life movement still does have some juice, that they are now on the ropes, and that they're in trouble politically, and the public opinion is swaying against them. That is why I'm telling you we've got to focus not only on their highest crime, which is the murder of babies, but also on the fact that they're in a criminal conspiracy to cover up sexual crimes being committed against minors. We've got to force Obama and Pelosi and Reid to defend this horrific criminal behavior. Let them spend political capital on this criminal syndicate called Planned Parenthood. I simply cannot emphasize to you enough what is at stake here for both sides in this continuing resolution that will be voted on within the next couple of weeks. I urge you to go to terrycast.com, randallterry.com, and fax a personal letter from you to every member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Let them know your mind. I'll be right back. O Lord, thou God of vengeance, shine forth. Rise up, O Judge of the earth. Render to the proud their deserts. O Lord, how long shall the wicked exult? Abraham Lincoln said, "You can tell the greatness of a man by what makes him angry." You do know, of course, that the Bible says to be angry and do not sin. There are times when holy, righteous anger is the very best and most appropriate response. We see Jesus getting angry when the apostles wouldn't let little children come to him. We see Jesus very angry at the money changers in the temple. So my question to you is this: do the crimes of Planned Parenthood make you angry? And if so, what, my dear friend, are you going to do about it? God bless you.